Hey guys, Dajahao. Bonjour et bienvenue to Frenchy Teaches Cocktails. In today's episode, we are not talking about layers of flavor anymore. We already did the 5 main layers: spirit, sour, sweet, bitter, and spicy. Today is about texture, and we are going to make a silver fizz. A silver fizz is a simple gin sour, but it has the addition of 2 texturants. It has both soda water for carbonation and egg whites for that lovely foam. We are all familiar with the first texturant, carbonation. Carbonation is dissolved CO2. Either it happens through forced carbonation by adding CO2 under pressure into the liquid, or by fermentation. Yeast keeps fermenting sugar in a sealed container. This builds up CO2 inside the bottle. CO2 impacts the mouthfeel. It has a tingling fizziness, and on top of that, it has an impact on flavor. CO2 actually reacts with water and forms carbonic acid, H2CO3, that has a distinct flavor, that peculiar sourness that all fizzy beverages share. But we're gonna do a whole episode on carbonation, so today I rather focus onto our egg whites. The other texturant in a silver fizz is egg whites. Egg whites are very high in protein, and as we talked in our sours episode, proteins are actually long chain of amino acids. When whisked, they will go through a first process of denaturation, meaning that they are going to unfold. There is another property of proteins. They are composed of amino acids, and some of those amino acids are hydrophilic, some are hydrophobic. These properties are going to allow those proteins to coagulate with one another. This will create some kind of a mesh, a network of protein. Within this network, those proteins are going to be able to trap air bubbles. This will lead to that lovely foam, that lovely frothy foam on top, and a lovely mouthfeel. Some people are repulsed by the idea of consuming raw egg whites. The main danger is salmonella. Salmonella is not deadly, but it will lead to food poisoning and definitely not a good time. Odds of salmonella contaminations are fairly low. It's estimated that about 1 in 20,000 eggs might have salmonella. So the risk is not zero, but a bit of good practice, high quality eggs, and it's a non-issue. In my 10 years working as a bartender, I've used plenty of raw egg whites. I've been in the industry long enough. I never heard of a contamination case. Make sure to use high quality eggs. Make sure they are fresh, make sure they don't have any cracks, and when you crack them open, they shouldn't smell anything, and the egg whites should be viscous and not runny, not too liquid. This is a sign of an old egg that you wouldn't want to use. If you really can't get over the idea of using raw egg, there is a few alternatives. There is cartons of pasteurized egg whites. Some places use as well dehydrated egg white powder. Or for vegans out there is Aquafaba. Aquafaba is basically the juice of cooked chickpeas, very high in proteins as well. In my opinion, nothing quite replaces fresh raw egg. Egg white powder do have a peculiar taste. Aquafaba as well is not as neutral. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't used pasteurized egg whites simply because they are not commercially available here in Taiwan. I believe it's more of a North American thing. Even in Europe, in France, I never saw them. But basically, nothing beats a simple, fresh egg. What about the flavor of egg whites? Egg whites should have very little flavor, if any at all. There are some bartenders saying that egg whites have a smell. Your eggs have a smell, you shouldn't use them. make sure you have fresh egg. They shouldn't smell like anything. But egg whites do have an impact on the overall flavor of the drink. First of all, it's extra dilution. It is only 10% protein, so the 90% remaining is mostly water. So this is extra dilution into the drink. On top of that, egg whites are astringent, meaning that they can actually dry out your cells. They can pull water from out of your cell. This leaves some kind of a dry feeling. But where egg whites really shine is that texturant. That foam on top carry a lot of the aromatic of the drink. On top of that, it is visually stunning. Those two layers of the cocktail are really, really pretty. But enough talk. Let's build our drink. As I said earlier, a silver fizz is basically a gimlet, so very simple gin sour with 2 texturants added. So we're gonna reach for our gin. I'm gonna go for 2 ounces as usual. We're gonna add to that some freshly squeezed lime juice. I'm gonna go for a little over 3/4 ounce. I like my drinks on the sour side. To that, we're gonna add a little bit of simple syrup. I'm gonna go for scant half, so meaning right below half an ounce, right below 15 ml, so about 12 ml. As usual, 2 dash saline and 1 dash orange bitter for good luck. Now we're gonna add our egg whites. In a bar, I would use a squeeze bottle like my lime juice, so I could measure an exact quantity. Usually I would shoot for half an ounce or 15 ml. Here, I'm only planning on making the 1 drink. I'm gonna go straight for my egg. To separate the egg white from the yolk, crack your egg on a flat surface. Just get your thumb in it and transfer the yolk from shell to shell. Hopla, I'll save that for an omelette later. So now I'm gonna do a dry shake. A dry shake means simply shaking my drink without adding ice. Egg whites emulsify best at room temperature. When it gets too cold, those proteins have trouble finding each other and forming those bonds. That's why we dry shake them first. Make a good seal, give it a good shake. It goes quite quickly. You don't have to do it too long, just a few seconds. Hopla. There is as well a technique called a reverse dry shake, where the process is just flipped around. Instead of doing the dry shake first and then adding ice and shaking, you add the ice, shake first, then filter it back into your small tin and shake without the ice. I don't love the technique. I don't see the actual benefit. To me, the results are the same or slightly inferior. There is an argument to be made. There is 2 factors that will affect emulsification. The first one is temperature. So in a normal dry shake, you have room temperature emulsification, which is better. Whereas in a reverse dry shake, your cocktail is already iced, so your emulsification happens at much lower temperature, which is harder for that foam to form. However, ABV can affect emulsification as well. If your drink is too boozy, your emulsification won't happen well. So the benefit of the reverse dry shake is you emulsify after dilution. So you emulsify cold, which is less effective, but at a lower ABV, which helps a little bit. However, whatever works for you, both techniques are valid in my opinion. I just prefer the flow of first dry shaking, then add ice and finish my shake. Which leads me to a little tip. Watch out to not build a cocktail that is too high ABV, otherwise it won't emulsify at all. For example, if you use overproof spirits such as a navy strength gin at 57.5 ABV, it will not work. Or if you use a very high proof liquor, you know, for example, a white lady with egg whites, you have to watch out a little bit your ratios, because a beef feeder, for example, at 47 ABV plus a Cointreau at 40 ABV will inhibit your emulsification. As usual, add plenty of ice. Alright. With egg whites, you have to be careful and make sure your seal is extra strong. Egg whites will at first expand in the till before your seal is reinforced by the vacuum. So make sure you have a strong seal. Alright, for glassware, we're gonna be using a Collins with a little bit of soda water. I like to put my soda water first into the glass so the carbonation can rise through the drink and reinforce that lovely foam. The drink is gonna be double strained. Right here, beautiful. Obviously, as I'm sure you know already, you shouldn't put anything carbonated inside of your tin on tin. This will definitely break your seal and be prone to leakage. As you can see, over time, the drink is gonna separate over two layers, that beautiful foam on the top and the liquid phase at the bottom. Sometimes people use a straw inside their fizz. I believe it negates a bit the purpose. The beauty of the drink is actually that lovely foam on top, and one should drink through it. There is no smell. The drink is light, refreshing. Between the soda water and the egg whites, it's quite a bit of dilution, so it's not as intense, it's not as concentrated as would be a gimlet. The foam is lovely. It actually carries all the aromatic of the gin and the citrus. On top of that, it gives texture, that frothy foam on top, but a bit of astringency as well, a bit of dryness, which is not a bad thing. It's really pleasant. Sours with egg whites are plentiful, but they all follow the basic same making process. Dry shake, wet shake, double strain. A little detail though, avoid putting a drink with egg whites on ice. It kind of negates the purpose, and that ice cube, that wiggling ice cube, is gonna destroy the foam. Some drinks are not complete without egg whites. I'm thinking of a Boston style whiskey sour, I'm thinking of a pisco sour. Egg whites is definitely an integral part of the recipe. There is as well, obviously, a Ramos gin fizz, but we will have a whole episode on that iconic New Orleans drink and bartender nemesis. So today, guys, we learn how to use egg whites in cocktail. Egg whites are a great texture. As you can see, it leads to that lovely frothy foam on top of the cocktail. Next time, I'll show you how you can actually use bitters and draw on top of the foam. Other egg whites alternatives, such as Aquafaba or egg whites powder, all work about the same way. Dry shake for emulsification, room temperature is best. Control your ABV, too high of ABV will negate that protein-to-protein bond, then you're forming. So dry shake, wet shake, double strain, avoid to serve them on ice. Egg whites cocktail should be served up without ice. Egg whites cocktails are for texture only, they do not add any flavor to the drink. A little bit of astringency, a little bit of dryness. However, there is a possibility where you could use egg whites to convey flavors. There is an old farmer trick where they would store their egg with truffle in the same box. The truffle aroma would then permeate the egg shell and flavor the egg whites. That way, the farmer could still sell the truffle and make an omelette which still had that truffle aroma. So this could be a way to add a delicate aroma into your egg whites cocktail. If you guys enjoy today's episode of Frenchy's Tishy's Cocktail, I'll see you soon. Don't hesitate to leave a comment, hit click and subscribe. I need the gratification, so does darling right here. Bye bye guys, au revoir, zaijian et santé surtout.